There are three levels of players and game masters in the tabletop role-playing game hobby. People that take it serious, people that take some of it serious, not all of it, and then there are people that just don't seem to care much at all. And there's very few people, but there are some, that fall somewhere in the middle of some of those levels, right? Like maybe they're level 1.1. Who knows? But there are very few of them, and the majority of players and game masters end up in one of these categories. So, I'm going to tell you about my experience. I'm an old school game master. I'm pretty strict. It's not about feeding my ego. I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you what makes you a good player, a good tabletop role-playing game player, and what makes you a bad one, right? And where I think the people that somewhat care miss the point, and where I think the people that don't care at all have no idea what's going on. And then I will also want to talk about the egos of people in the hobby, where they don't even understand why things are meant to work a certain way, and they need to challenge the entire system. They don't understand that they're not really feeding their ego that well, or proving a point, or showing you up, pushing back against your authority. What they're really doing is simply damaging the experience for the other players and the game master by simply not following how things go. It's not about needing to respect the game master or other players. This is simply what you got to do for that night to go well, for you to get in this thing I call the flow. And I'm going to tell you why the flow is the most important thing in the hobby to get into and experience when it comes to a tabletop role-playing game session. Everything else is meaningless, and every other experience outside the flow is not as good as the flow. If you're not aiming for the flow, I don't even get why you're here. I don't get the lower level of people that don't care. I don't even understand the people that somewhat care. It's not hard to care about the overall experience, so when I see people half caring, I don't even understand it. I think it's laziness, mental laziness, that are coming from those people, and I think these lower levels are just an accepted thing. They're not called out, there's no standard, and no one really points out why those lower standards are bad. So let's get into it all. Now, as a player, I'm going to ask you, ignore all the people that push the importance of the game master and everything. Let's just go back in time before you heard all these poisonous opinions about how this is all supposed to work. The game master has full authority over the game. Let's go back to the old school mindset, right? Why? Do you know? Do you know why? Do you think that is about feeding the ego of the person running the game? Like, I just want to know, is that what you think? There is a reason the game master has full authority over the game. And it's because they are responsible for everything in the game. All right, that's the starting point. Second is, they are managing the game for the sake of the flow, to keep the flow going. What happens when players just cut in whenever they feel like it, or they ask a question, you give them an answer, they're unsatisfied, and they keep going on? What are they doing? They're breaking the flow of the game in the process. They're stepping into a zone of authority that they don't have, and they're crushing what is happening. Now, you as a game master will know this. Doesn't mean the player will understand what they're doing at that moment. But in reality, it makes that player a trash player for this hobby. No good for any fucking table. Right? It's not about your ego, player. It's not about you making a point to the game master. You are either a good player or you're a shit player. That's it. You're one of the two. If you break up the flow, you pause the game, you take authority where you have none by mouthing off or arguing, extending when you have been given an answer or something like that, you are a trash player. You're no good. And, you know, at this stage in my life, if I encounter players like you, they meet a stubborn prick named Steven Saunders who removes them from the table no matter how long they've been at my table. And my family knows this because I'll remove them too. It's not personal to me when I remove you. I'm not strict to feed my ego. I simply want to have a good night. And I know how that works. And if you come in not knowing how that works and you're mouthing off, which tells me you don't know how it works, depending on who you are, I might have a talk with you. This is how this works. I don't care how you feel. I don't give a fuck about your feelings. I want good players. And if you claim to be a good player and you argue with me beyond this point, you have lied to me. So if I ask you if you're a good player and you say yes, I expect you, out of all people, to not cross the line. Because that is the sign that you're a good player, because you understand how the system works. It's not about kissing my ass. It's not even about feeding your ego. You sacrifice a bit for the sake of getting together with a group of people so you all can have fun, where the entire event is not about serving only you and your wishes and your demands and your opinions. Doesn't matter if you have a strong opinion. Really doesn't matter. Either you're a good player or you're not. And if you're unhappy with the game, instead of breaking it up, being a terrible person, ruining it for the other people involved, right? You tell people outside of the game, maybe this is not for me, and walk away. Right? And if you can't do that, that's another sign that you're not meant for this hobby. You're not good at these games. But we got categories for you. The people that somewhat give a fuck and the people that don't give a fuck. But here's the reason I don't understand the I don't give a fuck people and the halfway people. There is only one thing we're all looking for here. It's the flow. Like if you go down to the lower levels, and here, let me explain the flow to you. The flow isn't just being in role-playing the character in character. The flow can be out of character, but the flow is a process of gaming where you are focused on the gameplay. Like you're not focused on talking about things in life. You're not focused out of that. It's either you are rolling the dice with the action, but the imagination's running, you're all excited, or you're in that social interaction. Either way, you're in a flow. And there's a lot of things that can break that, but that flow is the addictive part to our hobby. That flow is what we look to get in from the start of the session until the end. And we can, and it's not hard, as long as the people involved respect what it takes to make that happen, then it happens. It's really not hard, right? The flow gets broken up by people that will argue more than they should. They ask a question, they get an answer. They haven't been asked to keep arguing, and they keep arguing. Right away, they break the flow. They're no good for the game. And getting into the flow is not always easy. And when you break the flow, and the experienced game master knows, for some groups, it won't be easy just to float them back in. You can spoil the entire night. I've seen players where a game master's doing pretty well, right? They've had a rough day, but they're doing pretty well. They got the flow going for the first 25 minutes. And then the player decides to argue with him until he breaks the flow. When the player broke the flow, you see that whole night crash and burn. I mean, this is recently. It ended an entire campaign, left everyone arguing because they didn't have a good time. And it was one simple event that broke that entire night. And the game master did a good job after that trying to get players back in the flow, but it already had been broken, right? And now a lot of players in the hobby don't know that this is all going on or even how this works. He broke the flow, caused chaos, and destroyed the campaign. I want to note, that group had been doing campaigns together, the same players, for 3 years. That was the first time one of those players broke playing well. He had seen other people in the hobby arguing with their game masters. He admitted this later. He was influenced by that to speak back to his game master out of order, meaning he would break the flow like those players he was influenced by. He did exactly that, and after 3 years of not doing that and having a great track record and a lot of fun with those people, and one single night of breaking the flow, he broke up the entire group of people that had been gaming for 3+ years. It's amazing how damaging some things can be to what we do. And you get a lot of antisocial nerds that just don't understand. The authority in the game master's voice from the game master is to do with the role. It's not to do with the person. The person is just embodying the role. Like if I speak with authority as a game master, that's my role in the group. I speak with authority because I have it. When you, as a player, try to speak with authority that you don't have, in my world, I kick you the fuck out even if you're family, Even if it's a long campaign, even if you've been with me forever, you could be my best fucking friend. You fuck with my game, I'll remove you in a fucking heartbeat. And I've done it. I'm one of the most stubborn cunts you'll ever see. But there's a reason. I just don't got nights to burn away or groups to break up over silliness. I look at how fragile it is what we do here. Now, some of the worst things I've ever seen is with groups where they somewhat care. Because those groups, I mean, some of the worst horror stories come from the middle ground people. They somewhat care, so they sort of know to care, but since they're so lenient, the consistent breaking of their experience happens with a lot of groups. Like, they are forgiving about things they shouldn't be, it ruins their night, it wrecks them, and it runs a lot of people away from the mid-level. And what happens to them, either they go and, like, that mid-level is not a long-term place to be. It will either drive you to the not caring at all, or drive you to my position. Trust me, 90% of players and game masters from the middle ground get driven this way. Because they are too lenient, and they encounter some of the worst stuff you could ever encounter. When you get to the low end of people that don't care, I would say to the mid-level people, and the people at the top that know how good the flow is, we know how bad that experience is, compared to the one we have. And the flow is so good that we know the flow, no matter what theme, no matter what you're doing, no matter what mechanics you're using, the flow is, it's what we all want. It's the one thing we can say we share. It's the one attraction to the hobby. And if the rest of us can look at the lower end and see that they're not there, we know that they are playing something less good, right? And we also know, if you're experiencing the hobby, that no matter, you don't have to criticize them. You can, they're at peace with me, right? Play the way you want, do what you want. I'm with you. But is it true that even those players, if they had the flow experience, would love it? They'll act like, no, what I'm doing is good enough. I'm like, you can say that, but if I get you to that flow thing, you'll realize it is better. It's the drug of the hobby. You can't deny that. That's the thing that drags us all here. And once you touch it, I guarantee that will change your mind. So most people at the lower end have always been at the lower end. So what I mean is, their experience with the game is more like, shits and giggles and fucking around happy. There'll be a lot of people that buy third-party content, shit like this. They won't do a lot of their own work at all. But it's the shit and giggles get together, and the lack of effort. There won't be the same effort from the game master, players. All this will be more casual. It'll be like getting together to play some cards, right? Their gaming experience is so foreign to the rest of us, if you really pay attention, that it's really not the same thing. It's just like getting together to play Yahtzee, right? They don't take the game that serious. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but I tell them, you're not touching the addictive part of the hobby. Like, you don't even know that it exists. If I bring you over to a low-end player who doesn't care, you'll love it. You'll get addicted to it, right? But the second, it takes you to experience the flow to become someone like me who becomes more serious as a game master. I know how much fun the flow is, right? And I just want to have that fun. And I know how sensitive it is to breaking that fun. How you can break out of the flow. How you can have a hard time getting back into it. Now, some people are the exception. Some people, it depends on the group too. Some groups can break the flow and go right back in instantly. I'm not saying there's not exceptions. We're talking about the majority here, not the exceptions. And a lot of nerds in this hobby always want to go, yeah, but I'm the exception, so that doesn't that... No. If you're the exception, then everything I say still really stands, right? It really holds up, right? I'm clearly not speaking to a minority of people. I'm speaking to the majority, and this is something that we see in the hobby if you pay attention. So the middle ground never lasts. So middle ground players and game masters, I'll warn you, you won't be there forever. Like, you really won't. Because I guarantee you will have a lot of bad experiences that will drag you away from that, because that's the horror show. See, for the bad behavior to happen, even from good people that normally wouldn't behave that way, there needs to be a level of less strict, more leniency, and then they test the water with that leniency. It's just what we do as human beings. Like, tell us not to do something, we do it. Right? So you need the players to understand. That's why I explain it in this video the way I do. You need the players to understand. It's not about ego, right? And game masters have to be more responsible for how they present the game. You can't present it as if you're just God or not explain how this goes. You need to explain even your position of authority isn't meant to kiss your ass or feed your ego. Explain to the players that your fun is found within the flow. So you're not just worried about their fun. When they break the flow, they break your fun. They burn you out. They make you have a hard time caring about this thing whatsoever. You know, it's not like many game masters will downgrade. If players take away their fire and passion, they don't start running the game like they don't care. A lot of them just walk away from the hobby. That's reality, right? A lot of game masters that end up not caring because players will drag this down. And some people, because they don't have the experience I have, they don't know what even the issue is. I've met game masters that don't realize that their issue with walking away has to do with their players walking over them. Like speaking up and breaking the flow, but them not verbally really taking it in that way. Just, oh, Mark was mad about this. Like they're not realizing it. So I've talked to some game masters where once I open their eyes to the issue and they take care of it, I save them. Like they go from, I'm going to walk away forever to, oh shit, now I'm having a better time. I'm like, yeah, dude, that's all. It needs to be clear to the people in this hobby. We need to at least do this right, to a degree. Like, you might say what I'm doing is taking the game serious. I don't think I'm taking the game serious at all. I think I'm just taking the game the way you're supposed to. That's, it's my opinion. The lower level that doesn't care, I think they're playing the game wrong. There's nothing wrong with what they're doing. Have fun. I support you. Just to be clear. Right? But if you get my point of saying is, I don't think I'm taking it serious. I think this is the way the game is supposed to function. These are the roles in the game. Now, you might have different rule sets, different games, and different mechanics in that. But there's this simple thing where the person who runs the game has the authority needed to manage the game to keep the flow going. And they are not to abuse that. At the same time, players don't have the authority to break it, but they have some right to speak up, ask a simple question, do things like that, and they are not to abuse that. And if both sides don't abuse these situations, the player doesn't abuse the break into the game with a question, the game master doesn't abuse players with their authority, and you just do this properly, you're fine. That's why I tell a game master who's acting up, you are a shit game master. Well, I'm really this, I'm really good at this, no. You don't get it. You're damaging the game. Right? You're probably breaking the flow for them while you're having a good time. Right? People don't like authority being rammed down their throats or smacked over their head too fucking hard. Right? And the authority is not there to feed your ego, so that should never be necessary. The only time you should ever be harsh with your authority is when you're just drilling on the point of the game. You did this, that's wrong. That's it. You don't sit there, smile. You don't even feel good about it, but you don't feel bad either. Your job is to be, the person who manages that. Make sure everything goes well, and you need to be able to do your job straightforward without shame, right? But you can't abuse these things. Any abuse of this stuff makes what we're doing break easy. Again, lower end, the reason they get away with it is they don't care. So they're having a really low end experience. That's why I say it's a low end. The mid-level people, man, I mean, they make you think that people like me might put up with shit. That's why I don't like the mid-level guys, because they're never going to stay there forever, because it's going to drive them crazy. Because in the leniency area, it just means you're going to meet all the people that break the game on you. Even your friends can end up breaking the game just for bad behavior that you don't realize will break the game. Right? If you're not experienced game master, your stuff is going to happen in front of you. And it's only going to be later that you learn, shit, I should have cut that off. Right? But it's like how many times, you got to be careful with that too. It's like, it's like later, man, I should have cut that off. But yet you were probably with one of the greatest groups you'll ever game master for the rest of your life. So that group is now gone, and there's a chance you never meet another group of players that are going to be like that. And you just casually let that float away because somebody had a point to prove that night. It led to a conflict, dirty feelings. You all know this can happen. That's how sensitive all this is. And then boom, you're gone. You lose everything. Now, if you had not had that little beef that night and things would have been respected, you guys probably could have stayed together for 10 years being friends, having a great time. And now the direction of your experience with these people has completely changed because you just let something careless happen. Like, it's just how it is. A lot of people in the hobby are just antisocial nerds. If your friends are taking part, trust me, right? They're sensitive about something. We just have to be real with each other about that fact, right? So I would say to any player, I don't care how antisocial you are trying to prove a point, I'd say the same thing to the game master. You got to learn that your role is to make this function. It's not to feed your ego. And the second you start feeding your ego with these exceptions, like, oh, you a player get to ask a question, the game master gives you an answer, you're not happy and you keep arguing, you stepped over the line. You're breaking the flow. You need to respect the flow of the game, not the game master, not even the other players. You got to respect the flow because in reality, the flow is the thing you're there for too, right? And you don't want to damage that to feed your ego because that's all you're doing. When you damage the game, nobody does that for legit reasons. That's all about feeding the ego because it's either this, if you're legit and you have that much of an issue with the game, you should be walking away. So to stay when you're that troubled by something, I mean, it's just no good. Leave. If you're really troubled by something, but you trust the people there, that shouldn't be as much of an issue. So I shouldn't even have to hear about that. If the issue is that bad, then walk away. And that's another thing a lot of players and people in this hobby just need to learn in general. No game is better than a bad game. Because the point of this hobby is for you to have a good time. It's escapism. If your time is spent in a bad time, where things aren't working out, things aren't going well, well then you're failing to do what this hobby is trying to do for you, right? And you want this hobby to drag you down? This shouldn't be the hobby that drags you down. If you're in a bad game, leave it. You might say, well, but there's no game, man. Or what if I kick my players out and I have no players? It's better to have no game than to have that game. It will drive you down. It will ruin your experience. It will fuck your mind up on what this hobby is. And what it will do by staying in a bad situation is it makes it hard for you to go forward having fun. Like the bad experience overall will drive you into the ground. And for some, not all, again, let's be clear. Because every time I talk to nerds and you don't mention that there's an exception that you understand that exists, the exceptions will all come out of the woodwork as if they're proving you wrong. They won't realize it by being part of the minority and the exception. They're really not proving you wrong because your statement really holds true when you're speaking about the majority. Which I always want to make clear to nerds. That's really, if I say nerds are like this, well, I'm saying the majority, right? And here's the thing, guys. Here's the truth, and you might not like this. The majority represent you. So if I speak about the majority, I'm speaking about the people on top of the faces that represent the hobby to the public, to the outer world. This is what the hobby is. This is what they're seeing. So I speak to the majority. I would say stop seeing this game on levels. I would advise anybody who just gets together, drinks beer and eats pretzels and doesn't care. There's a better way. Just an opinion, though. You keep doing what you do, though, if you have fun. And don't be offended by anything I'm saying. Because there's nothing wrong with what you're doing. This is just an opinion from a guy, right? I think that's worse than what I do. Clearly. That's why I do what I do. So it should be common sense that I might have that view. And I'm not saying it to insult you. And if you're happy doing it, if it's good enough for you, and my thing isn't better, fair enough, dude. Okay. For the personal take, that's your personal victory right there. You beat me on the personal argument. As long as you're happy, I don't give a fuck. That's the reality. So when you hear opinions like that, that might be critical towards a style or something, don't take it all to, don't take it to heart, man. I'm not a big fan of miniature gameplay. Most of my buddies in the hobby fucking love miniatures. And they don't care what I say about miniatures. They enjoy it. They can be like, hey, you can tell me how it's pure theater of the mind is better, Steven. I don't give a fuck. I think miniatures are better. But that's how casual it is. They don't get all religious. Some people do, though, in the hobby, get crazy. Right? So if you're sensitive to these issues, I would just say, relax, man. Right? I'm cool. It's just a game thing. I don't like miniatures that much. There's lots of things me and you would probably still agree on. Right? It's just I don't like miniatures. And you might not like pure theater of the mind. I'll argue that pure theater of the mind is better. You'll tell me it's not. Cool. Then we can go have a fucking coffee, right? Shoot the shit. Like, it doesn't have to blow up to be something more. So when you come to a guy like me and you hear critical opinions, I would only ask you to be open-minded. And if you wanted a private conversation with me, like just direct conversation, you'd realize that most likely you're going to agree with me on a lot of things. And when we get to these areas, it's not that big of an issue. It's just you're hearing it in the video. Don't let it drive you too hard, right? Lots of people out there that don't like what I do, or like don't like pure theater of the mind. I mean, there's 10,000 videos on that, easy to find. Lots of people rip down that style. Nobody criticizes them because it's popular to tear down that style. So the same pressure isn't put on the criticism of that as it would be put on the criticism of miniature gameplay. So I've only ever stated anything because I hear other people talking about things like that. I'm like, well, I can say my point. Some people take that too much to heart. I would ask you not to, right? I don't care if you like miniatures, dude. If you like them, cool. I support you. Yeah, I don't even like it and I support you. Because I support anybody who's just going to have fun in the hobby. If you're doing something fun and you're happy with it, fuck, you're doing it right. Doesn't matter what I think, but I still think it, right? I still think the low-end guy's having a worse time than me. I still think I'm right, even if he tells me otherwise, right? Right? I still think I'm right, because every time, here's my experience in life. 100% of the time, I've taken some hard ass who disagrees with me, from the miniature world to the pure theater of the mind world. Guess what happens? They have a better time. Every time. Their imagination is lit up. On top of that, they hit the flow. That's going to enhance the entire thing too, because they hit a flow that you just don't hit in the uncaring game, right? So it's the drug. And they have a touch of the drug, and they're in their imagination deeply during one of my games. 100% of the time I've taken a hard ass from miniature gameplay and they played my game with that experience, they're more than satisfied, and most end up permanently crossing over to my style. Like 99%. I know 2 guys out of well over 200 that went back to their miniature gameplay. All the other ones walked away, cut it down to like 20% of the time they do it, but it's just they go to pure theater of the mind. Some guys went only pure theater of the mind after my experience. And some guys stayed with miniatures for about 3 or 4 years and they just crossed right over. Stayed in theater of the mind for the rest of their playing days, right? So that's why I think that, right? Because every time I drag someone who's really hard in disagreement with me on this issue, and I drag them over to say, here, just give me your honest best effort. So I don't want to see you sabotaging me doing this for you. So don't sabotage it. Let's find out if it works or not, because it's to your benefit if you like it, and it will just simply, if it's not to your benefit, at least we know that you've given it a real try, so you know for sure. No, boom. And when I get the honest effort, we're good. And the 2 guys that went back to their game, I felt like they sabotaged those nights. Every other player I've ever encountered that I've done that for and had a little bit of a prep talk before going in, they end up being cool and just giving me their 100%. And the 2 cases that went back to miniature gameplay are the only 2 cases where it's like, you guys didn't give me your best foot forward, you didn't try, you sabotaged it on purpose so you could perceive something as bad, you didn't even try to see the good, and you didn't even make an effort to get in the flow or stay in it. So you purposely just wanted to win the argument because you're a nerd, and you didn't want to win the argument honestly. You didn't want to come over and see what the real truth was, so you avoided it and sabotaged the situation so you would not fall into the flow. So I couldn't find out if you liked that process because you didn't even give that process a chance. And many nerds in this hobby, because they're so addicted to their positions, they'll sabotage themselves in many different ways. They won't play with certain people that, I mean, they should. There's just not that much of a gap, but they make a big issue about things they don't have to. Or they're trying to prove a point at the table. I need to show that I can talk back, but that makes you a terrible player. Oh no, just saying. So when you hear about these levels, in reality, what I'm saying is there's only really one level. Taking the game serious is not like a big issue. Like, stop making it seem worse than what it is. Taking the game serious is just taking the game serious. It's like you buy a video game. You're playing. Yeah, I'm trying. That's what you're doing. Like, I don't want to try hard, right? I don't want to try hard player, but I want a player who tries. And by taking the game serious, it's simply all you're doing. It's the way people paint stuff up in this hobby makes me laugh. Because they take what should just be simply okay, make the effort, give a shit about what you're doing, and try. That should be pretty casual and accepted by every player and every game master in the hobby. But the players have successfully painted that up as, man, just trying is pretty much, you're calling it try hard. Like you're labeling it as something negative. Oh, you take the game too serious. No, I don't take the game too serious. I take the game as serious as you should. Like, that's the part you're not accepting. Like, I'm taking it as serious as you should, and you're calling that too serious when it's not. I can show you people that take the game too serious, but I do see most people calling people like me who don't take it all that serious, at least on the gaming end as far as freaking out or how you deal with players. I'm just pretty normal game master. I know the position, I know the flow, I know how it works, and I don't like wasting time. That should just be pretty much it. You're getting together to have a good time. Like, all the drama that comes from what we do, it comes from ego. It's all about ego. And there's a reason I tell you these things make you a bad player or make you a bad game master if you're abusing your authority. It's because it breaks their good time. The whole point is escapism. If you're doing something that damages our effort towards that, you suck at what you're doing. You're not good at it. Right? The better you are at these games, the more smooth you are. The more socially acceptable you are. The better player. The better player is someone who shows up and he's there for the team because it's a team sport. He's not there to feed his own ego or to make the game all about him. It's not what a good player is. A good player is the team player. Like, this is a team. And it's like you watch a show, right? If it's all about one character and you have some other side characters they barely pay attention to, you won't care about the side characters. You won't care about the setting the person is. You might find that one person funny, but it will be challenging. When that show brings in all the different characters to speak and have their turn, and everybody's playing their role, and you're getting to know all the people in the environment, that means you start connecting with the environment. The show becomes better. Well, that's sort of what you're doing as a team player when you come into a game like this. When you don't make the game all about you, but you make it about you and everyone. Now it's more colorful. Now it's more lit up. Now everyone has energy and life coming into the game. Everyone's excited to be there. Right? So don't be a player, because there's so many of you. You're like, you're a dime a dozen. If you think you're special when you're showing up and talking back to people, it's just you're a dime a dozen, man. You don't even have a fucking name. You just have a number. You just got to stamp a number on your fucking forehead. Number whatever fucking broke the fucking game tonight. Well, he has a name. It doesn't fucking matter. These guys are a dime a dozen. They're fucking everywhere. There's nothing special or unique about them. There's just so many of them. They all behave exactly the same way. They all have the same uncaring attitude. I mean, they don't even need to fake a fucking face. You can pretty much just go, okay, here's NPC Crackhead 1, NPC Crackhead 2. That's a bad player, and they all think trust me, they all think they're unique. I'm like, no, you're like fucking NPCs, because you all behave exactly the same way. Same don't give a fuck NPC, same don't give a fuck NPC number 2, 3, 4. That's you, right? So I didn't even count your names. When I encounter guys like you, I'm just like, okay, number whatever the fuck, get the fuck off my table. That's it. Because I don't treat you like you're somebody, because you're not. You're really not. And you just come from a crowd of people that they don't give a fuck. They're like children. Like, in a bad way. There's no maturity at all. When the game needs maturity, even from its youngest players. Like, you go to a table of young players, they might be all energetic and you hear kids acting up, but you start really paying attention to the better tables of young people. Oh yeah, the game master is going to let you talk up and beat kids, because you're all kids. Right, so it's going to be a difference there, but you'll notice the game master, all right guys, we're going to do this. Oh yeah, and even if they talk, there's a seriousness. Just know kids are taking it dead serious. Right, even when they're laughing, because they're just wild into it. You can't get there. Let's respect kids for being able to get there. But do they take this fucking thing serious? Most kids do. Because even the kid understands you got to take it serious. Kids never play at the mid-level or low-level. It might look like that because kids are behaving in a certain way that might not be as acceptable to adult tables. True. Right? But the kids, most of them, 99% of kids, especially the game masters, even if they don't know how to act like adults, in their own way, they're taking it as serious as I do. Almost every one of them. It's the later part of your stage of being an adult and having your mind fucked and everything else that leaves you at the low end barely trying or midway half up. Right? If you paid attention to the kids, they get it right from the get-go. Right? Once you realize that they take it serious naturally, you start thinking to yourself, is that something you're supposed to do? Yeah, it is. And the kids get it right away. This is the only way it works. And they'll yell at each other. Like you'll hear kids like, well, you're not doing this, you're breaking the game. Like they'll say shit like this to each other. Unlike adult players, if you pay attention, they'll outright call each other out for breaking the game, breaking the flow. They wouldn't even realize they're talking about the flow. It's a brilliant fucking thing to see. When I used to do a volunteer thing, go down, help kids read. It was for reading. Part of the helping them read was I started offering to run some games with kids, RPG type things, and themes that were younger, talk to the parents, they were cool with it, and it was to entice them into wanting to read about the myth, the characters, the monsters. Man, I got reminded going back into that. It wasn't too many years ago. I got reminded going back into that just how fucking wild kids are in the game. Like they are in. They are some of the easiest human beings to game master for. As a mature game master, I take the game very serious. I'm ready for them. I don't got to worry about them breaking the flow. I didn't even got to worry about and you have to adjust. Kids are having an attitude you usually don't have with adult players. But if you just pay attention, you realize you don't have to really squash the attitude, because the attitude or whatever they're showing off is not getting in the way of them taking the game serious. Like if I instantly say, okay, we're here, boom, 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 the kids all adjust to it. Right? They don't, seriously, most 99% of kids won't talk back when it's in the vein of breaking the flow. And they won't even know it verbally what they're doing. They'll just know it's wrong to talk at that point. Like I can be there and the kids can act up, but if I speak with more bass in my voice as the game master, the kids will all go quiet. Because I'm the authority. It's not even an ego thing for them. They don't get bothered at the fact that I'm the authority. They just accept it. Now, I don't abuse them, but if you told them, hey, this old school DM, he abuses authority and blah, blah, the kids wouldn't even understand what the fuck you're saying. They'd be like, we had a great time with Steven. He's great at running the game. And I was, but I was great because they want somebody who takes it serious. I've seen kids now, honestly. When I started doing that, we had some other people come in and try to run like things like 5e. Because they got used to me, they started fucking criticizing the other game masters. It's like the game master wouldn't take something serious. The kids all know to instinctively do this right. It's almost like you don't even have to teach them. They just get it. And when they see adults not doing it right, you don't even have to teach them what's right or wrong. You can see them without being able to verbalize exactly why they're mad at the game master. But they definitely realize the game master is like not doing right. Like it's weird seeing a kid talk to an adult game master, and the adult game master is being all sensitive. Maybe you can roll. And he's going like, game master, just tell me what to do. What is all this? What are you doing? Why are you wasting my time? Don't tell me what option I have to roll. Just tell me what I should roll. You're the game master. It's imagine a kid understanding that. Like they're with a 5e DM and says, well, maybe you could use this. But the kid understands that, no. You're supposed to have the confidence to tell me exactly what to roll. And I should hear that confidence coming out of you because you're not abusing me. You're simply the game master. There's nothing wrong with you being forceful about what to do here. Tell me what to fucking do. Show me you have some confidence so I can have some confidence in you. And the kids would see these flaky people come around and they'd start not behaving well in their game. And I'd have the other game masters going, man, I don't get why the kids act up with me, but they're completely fine with you, Steven. I'm like, yeah, because I haven't taught the kids nothing. The kids just instinctively see that there's something wrong with you. And they instinctively know how this works without teaching them. That still amazes me to this day. And when I look back at my younger years, yeah, I felt like I knew a lot of things going into. And I look back at a lot of the adults behaved in immature ways compared to me. Like, I just understood the game. It wasn't an ego problem for me. I just came in and did what you're supposed to do. That's sort of such a refreshing thing with young people where they just come in and just, I'm supposed to do this. God damn it. And even if they have an attitude, at the moment where they could abuse it to break the flow, the kids don't. I'm like, why can't adult players feel like this? Why can't they clue in that this is the way it's supposed to be? Right? We shouldn't have to come up with all these different arguments for why a game master shouldn't have authority. here's what you do. You just make sure people aren't abusing the shit, and things go well. And you'll have open-minded people that run the game. That will give the flexibility that you need for certain things. But there has to be a middle ground somewhere, right? Anyway, there's my take on levels in the tabletop role-playing game hobby. Alright, I love you. At least most of you. Take care.